Right. Hi, everybody. Helena here.
And Kelly here.
And we are Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a business on your terms. And we have the lovely Jacqui Taylor with us. So I will introduce you properly to her in a second. But you know the drill if you've seen us before. What is the buzz in your business? So what's interesting, exciting, intriguing? What's making you just go, I love my business? That's what we want to know. What have you got coming up that's actually really happening? For those of you who are watching on because I sometimes forget to say this, hashtag replay, whilst Kelly's sharing this out in the various places. Hashtag replay is a really, really good thing to do, because that allows us to know that you couldn't catch us live, but you are actually somewhere in the world watching us and be able to ask your questions. So, you can tag any of us and do all of that good stuff. So we like to know that. The buzz in our business, and then I'll ask Jacqui hers as well. The buzz in our business is we've been running inside the Connection Hub, which is the place where all the conversations take place. So you've probably joined us on the Speaker Insight page, and we have the Connection Hub where we've got over 5,000 speakers, authors, and coaches who are all in conversation with each other.
Link in the comments.
Kelly has actually already done that bit. We've been running a bit of a referral competition, so a top referral, and the winner gets a spot on our Connect and Create Day, which we have 2 spaces left.
Oh, 2 spaces. Let me put the link to that in.
Yeah, so
on the 9th of October.
On the 9th of October, the Connect and Create Day is really where speakers, authors, and coaches who are inside the Connection Hub can actually physically get together, meet each other face to face, and see the rest of people rather than just their faces, which is really rather good. And it's a really great opportunity. We know that people have got podcast interviews out of it, collaborations are happening, all sorts of really great stuff happens on that day, partly because it's about taking a step back, working on your business, not in your business. You get a little 20-minute session with either her or me, which is our eyes on your stuff, and that apparently is very useful.
Invaluable.
Which is really rather good. And so we would love for you, if you've got space for yourself on the 9th of October, please come and join us. We would love that. But the winner
of our top referral competition, who referred at least over, well, it must have been well over 20.
Yeah. Is Michaela Brown.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, Michaela.
We'll message you, Michaela, as well. We'll put a notice up in the Connection Hub that we'll be sending you your free ticket to the Connect and Create.
And, that might just be a little trip from Portugal over here, and you can do a little international kind of visit. We always like a little bit of that. So that's the buzz in our business. Jacqui, before you really introduce yourself and we kind of do this proper interview, what's the buzz in your business, please?
Well, I'm hugely excited to be, my PA is arranging my first trip to India, which is a long-awaited goal for me. I've been asked by the government of India to do some work for them. I'm a science diplomat on behalf of Team UK and the connections that we already have with all of our Commonwealth family, but particularly with India in developing what I term the empathy economy. And whilst I'm there, I'll get the opportunity, and that's a great thing to be doing, and I'm delighted to be doing that. But whilst I'm there, I'll get the opportunity to actually meet some of the women in the villages that I support as a mentor.
Oh, wow.
So one of my entrepreneurs has had a breakthrough. It's wonderful when you win yourself, but when somebody who you mentor wins, that is just more meaningful. And she actually makes top grade paper. She lives in Jaipur, top grade paper from elephant poo. And that's a great thing to do. It's eco-friendly and all the rest of it. But it dawned on us last year that actually what we should tell people is the elephant poo is from elephants who've been orphaned. And so they're rescued from the wild, they're brought into safety, and she effectively goes to collect the poo every morning, and they make paper. So we'll be staying with her and the family. We'll be meeting the women entrepreneurs who her business is now supporting, which is an entire village, so that somebody with a dream and a vision and the ability to execute is now supporting other entrepreneurs, which means an entire village is supported. And they have asked me to, would I go to the Taj Mahal while I'm there, which is in Agra? It's like, I would do that. So I'm going to do that because there's another community that wants to get started, because I'm actually going to be based in New Delhi, that wants to get started, and they want me to visit to talk about, founding it in the Indian landscape. For those people, it'd be great if anybody in the comments knows anything about this and can help in any way, but founding what they have to found in a culture where your gender is a real issue. I know we have gender issues here, and I work on the inclusion agenda every day, but issues over there are rather different.
Yeah,
and so I get to support the village and visit the village and meet the women in person, which it's great to connect like we're doing today, but there's no substitute for the human connection. And then meet the new village that isn't yet started, and start that out. So that'll be in Agra. So I'll go from New Delhi to Agra, then Jaipur, back to New Delhi.
And you get to spend time with the elephant. I know.
Oh, I actually get to live with the elephants for 5 days.
We lived with them for 5 days. That's it. Kelly's now fully jealous. Like, she won't be focused on any of the questions that we're supposed to ask you. She just wants to ask you about
I will do special things for you, Kelly, for on the trip. These will be Kelly pictures. And also, because I'm a keen cook, she's actually going to, and we've moved to a plant-based eating plan over a year ago now, and she's going to teach me to cook some of her dishes that move me towards vegan, because I'm a bit confused about quite how I translate that. So I'm going to be in her kitchen being taught by, and her food is so famous, it's on TripAdvisor.
Amazing.
Well, you can give me.
So that's my buzz.
Yeah.
And I'll send you some vegan recipes to take out there.
I'm just going to sit here.
Fabulous.
Right, let's go.
I'm in.
So, any buzz in anybody's
So
business?
Brett's just saying he'd love to be with us on the 9th, but he can't make us this time. So we're going to miss you, Brett. I know you normally come to our Connect and Create days, but I know you've got a lot of good stuff going on.
You really do, including books.
Yes.
But anyway, neither here nor there. So, tell us a little bit about, dearest Jacqui, you know, sort of welcome into the community. You are a voice in the community already, but for everybody, tell us a little bit about what you do and how the insight that you have can help speakers, authors, and coaches specifically.
Yeah, so I'm Dr Jacqui Taylor. I'm CEO and co-founder of Flying Binary, and we're a web science company that changes the world with data and technology. And that is an ambitious statement, but so far that's translated to 90 countries, over a third of the world's population that are living more positive, connected lives, but predominantly more secure lives. So we pivoted our company on the 14th of November 2015, the day after Paris was attacked, to as we build technology now to defend us all and part of the cyber defences of Europe. So that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so I know that, you know, we really appreciate you coming on, because there's lots of stuff that you can't talk about, because I know you're always in dungeons and in governments and in, you know,
enclaves,
guys and
yes, right, yeah.
So, but we know that actually our community of speakers, authors, and coaches are the new generation of entrepreneurs, right?
Yes.
And so we know that a lot of their businesses are going to be run using digital resources, and that's what we're talking about resilience in this, is that we really advocate that people have systems and processes in their businesses to allow them to automate, to reach more, to focus on doing what they love, which is speaking, writing, and coaching. When the systems take place of a lot of the management of the business and the automation. But what happens then when they have this in place, that allows them to be more resilient, because there are foundations that are in place in their business that can go through change. Their foundations are strong, so they can actually be more flexible and react to change as an individual. However, from your perspective, what they also don't consider is how these foundational systems can be under attack from going through changes. Especially, I mean, this is a real apt day to be talking about it, isn't it, when our bloody Prime Minister's just potentially committed treason off with his head scenario, right? But
no comment.
No comment. Let's not go there.
But you know, with Brexit potentially going on and all these things, and it's not, I don't want this to be a Brexit thing, but there are always changes are constant. So how can we protect ourselves as digital entrepreneurs so our systems are safe? And so can you kick us off with, maybe let's just get some of the myths out of the way. Let's bust some myths of all these rumors that are going out there and flying around. Let's nail some of them on the head.
Right, so the whole Brexit conundrum started, I was working in Cabinet Office at the time, started because this economy, which I was one of the founders of, those 250 businesses in Tech City, I was one of that Shoreditch rabble. Stick my hand up on that, very proud to be that. We have over 5.6 million businesses as a result of that now. And we are the engine of growth that is our engine of growth in the UK. And that is very much respected by our government and by leaders generally. Scared witless for some of the 800-pound gorillas that don't do what you've just described, Kelly. Yeah. But that's the foundation of what we are. And the questions with the Lisbon Treaty were because as a service-based economy, the old treaty and that had been amended is still dealing with products and cattle and fish. Yeah. And we're like, Jon, what's that got to do with us? So it was a question of elevating the European project to this new economy, which I call the empathy economy. Yeah. And the reason I call it that is because in Europe, so we forget the Brexit thing for a moment, just over 80% of our businesses will change over the next 5 years. We've put a new European plan in place to do that. So 90% of us as entrepreneurs and as businesses are on the right track already. Okay. And the rest are not. And so we have a whole, if anybody's watched any of the contributions I've made into the group over putting that plan in place in June in Romania, getting it ratified in European Council in July, member states coming back with their plans on October the 17th, etc., etc. This whole timetable of Brexit is within a commission cycle. The reality of it is, though, as service economies, lots of it doesn't apply. Yeah. So yes, you can stick with what's going on now and build the business, but you're building it almost blind to the change that's going on. That disruption that I'm talking about. Now, layer on that the work I do, which is understanding where those hostile to our ambitions, which are not ambitions of building our businesses, they're far more fundamental than that, actually are going to take advantage of scenarios like Brexit in order to disrupt it further, because we already have a disruption. And a lot of the Brexit discussion we have, and I wouldn't say debate, because it largely isn't a debate, discussion is what I would call, as a scientist, a right brain debate, an emotional debate, which is building our businesses. Being authentic is fantastic, but to be able to spot threats and change and be resilient, that can't be a right brain activity. It has to be planned. So I very much agree with what you said, Kelly, about the foundations of our business are already our digital businesses are already shaking. So if you have more than 10% of your business digitally, i.e. you deliver it, everything about it is digital, then this is your conversation, because the foundations.
This, Jackie, we're doing this via Zoom, so this could be a coaching call, it could be a webinar.
Correct.
Taking your payments, it could be running your membership site, it could be running online courses,
or just even promoting things, right? Like sort of on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the thing that I need to, the first myth I need to bust is Brexit's about the UK. It isn't about UK. The UK is one of the most advanced. I mean, I only say that because of China and the US being bigger. I would argue that our post-Brexit plans are more advanced, but let's keep it where most people see it now, because not all those plans are announced. But behind China and the US, the UK is the most invested in country for anywhere in the world. We bring in the most inward investment because people know that what we're building here has a future into that Internet of Things, that empathy economy, as we talk about it. Okay. So it's not about the UK. If you're in the UK and you don't trade outside the UK, well, that's a missed opportunity when we talk about post-Brexit world. If you don't currently trade with the UK, well, we have 90 governments organising that behind the scenes. So that's a whole new marketplace, because you can deliver online, and so you can actually access that. I mean, I actually brought online an entire continent 2 weeks ago. So stop with the nation stuff. Do it with a continent.
Yeah, truly. We like to think bigger approach here, Jackie.
Absolutely. Magic of thinking big. I've ingested that. But 8 Latin American countries who have their own differences, their own problems, who literally flew 1,600 people here to actually sit down and make a post-Brexit plan with us. Fantastic news. So because why would they come here? because what we're doing, what Kelly's described, what you're talking about, Helena, is where people see this as the home of it. The US is bigger, you know, a great big setup and great, and all the rest of it. China is a completely different marketplace. If anybody trades in there, we personally don't put our tech on soil in China. We work out of Hong Kong, which has had its own problems recently, still will do. And so this is the first myth I want to bust, is the Brexit piece is about the UK. Yes, we're having our own internal, you know,
hoo-ha.
I can't call it, hoo-ha, thank you. I can't call it debate because it's not debate. But actually, this is about a future service economy, which we in the UK as digital entrepreneurs, what I call digital savvy entrepreneurs, already know about. But we're not necessarily making ourselves aware of the connections that are happening with other governments and other businesses who know already, like my trip to India, who know already connect with the UK because the UK can service that need. What we're all about is our ideal client, our avatar, and making our business so that it delivers to them. Well, that's just got multiplied by 78. Sorry, Helena.
Yeah, no, but exactly what you're saying, you know, if that's just been multiplied, I can imagine that a lot of people listening, A, didn't necessarily realize, and B, must be feeling quite heartened at the fact of, or even opened their eyes to the fact that just seeing this as an opportunity is a very different frame.
Perspective. Just on Kieran's point here, speaking of resilience, Thomas Cook should have been a warning in not planning for every eventuality. So you know it's a different industry completely, but this is the thing, it's actually not just burying our heads in the sand going, oh, I'm not an import and export company, so Brexit's not going to affect me. If you're running 10% of your business online, you need to listen to this, right? So this is why we really appreciate you coming into our community and being part of it, and actually letting people just not my point is that I don't want people worrying about eventualities and what's ifs and wasting time on things of what could happen. But there is still some control and some responsibility that we need to take as business owners, just generally, not just about Brexit, but have you got tight, secure systems? Have you got robust things that can be resilient to change? Are you forward thinking? Are you forward planning in your business, that alone all the what ifs?
So can I just add to that, Kelly, to say what I say to entrepreneurs, what I'll be saying to those women as I sit down in that village in Agra is, no plan isn't an option.
Completely.
We always have to have an forward plan.
You know, there is always a choice somewhere along the line, but a plan usually comes before the choice. So on that note then, so what are the main things that, you know, a speaker, author, coach running their business can actually control when these changes are happening?
So I've just got one more myth I need to bust.
Go for it.
Okay. So Her Majesty's government and its role in beyond the Lisbon Treaty, which is all that Brexit really is, our new relationship with Europe, whatever it may be, is all around something called statutory duty. As a European member state, it is bound to deliver things in the way that the European laws work. So people go, oh, well, you know, because I'm not importing, exporting, all the rest of it, it doesn't affect me. I don't think that's necessarily true. And so one of the things, what I've done for the community is I've prepared something I'm just looking at it to just check I'm covering things for people that haven't got it yet. 10 Brexit cyber smart preparations that we have developed since December 2016 when we set down this journey. And Her Majesty's government advice has the core of its advice exists online. No surprise there, because they're talking to us. So, and there's, you know, the great folks in Cabinet Office have done a great job, I believe. So the number one in my list is that. Go through that process, take that link, be guided through. The folks that I work with in Cabinet Office are like me on that inclusion agenda. They make it accessible, they make it, and you can and every single interaction you take with that website, if there's a problem, you can get some help. So I'm visually disabled and I've gone through it myself. I test it for our team because I have a vision difference that means that I see it in a different way. So that's number one,
Jackie, so that they can download it now.
Thank you, that's brilliant. The second one is, as I said before, no plan's not an option. but you have to plan around some milestones, some deadlines, some markers in the sand, whatever you want to call them. Now, given that where we are now, so I'm just going to do this, just give me 1 second, because my team are so helpful to me. Where we are now is, let me just refresh it to make sure it's up to date. We are 37 days, 10 hours, 43 minutes and 13 seconds till Brexit, okay? Whatever it brings. So we need to create a plan as entrepreneurs who, if we're going to move from just digitally savvy to cyber smart, to take account of the forward deadlines. If you're going to plan, you need to know what you're planning towards.
Yeah.
The 17th of October is a key date. Between now and then is a key date. Between the 17th of October and the 1st of November is a key date. Between the 2nd of November and the 31st of December is a key date. So the very first thing that I say is those 3 dates I've just given you, which are only the first horizon, we're planned through to 2023, December 2023, because we have visibility of the things that matter to that. And obviously we have to be ready for the things that are asked of us. But if you were saying, well, I've got that far, then it's the end of April 2020 you need. That is your actual planning horizon. But for most people, they don't have anything in place. And so I'm saying planning horizon is between now and 31st of December. So what do you need to plan with those 3 dates in mind? So in each case, you need to look at these things. For me, it always is this first one, the people. It's always about people. And first of all, it's our own people. It's the people that our businesses depend on, which might be our team. If you're a solopreneur, possibly not. But if you're, even if you're a solopreneur, you have associates, you have links, you have support of some kind.
Yeah.
And then lots of us who are working in the empathy economy look into a collaborative future. So we have partners, we have affiliates that we welcome into our businesses to deliver to our ideal client. And so number one, make sure you have all of those, you speak to all of those people by email, however you do it, as part of your normal routine, that they have got freedom to operate between now and the 1st of November. And that requires them to do that check that you've just sent in the link, Kelly, and make sure that they've done that. Based on that answer from them, that tells you whether you have. So around the people that surround you to deliver your business, let's make sure that those deadlines are covered.
And Jackie, right, I'm as blind to this as most of our listeners probably. Yeah. What does freedom to operate mean? What does it mean? What type of questions would they be asking us or employees?
So it might mean, where are they going to be on those key dates? So where in the world will they be?
Location.
And location-wise. So for example, I'm not traveling to India on the 1st of November. I'm going on the 2nd.
Yeah, right.
I will be coming back from European Council on the 15th, not on the 17th. On the 31st of December, I will be on soil here.
Okay, so this is actually making them decide when they're traveling, because things are happening on those dates.
Or what is in their pipeline. I'll talk about pipeline a bit later, but what is going on those key dates for any of your people?
Yeah, so planning around actually being as free as you can on those dates so that you are not affected by potential things that might happen.
And also, if you've got speaking engagements to book, don't book it on those days. If you're launching a membership, make it not those days.
Amazing.
Actually think of the things, it's a very, I have a planning horizon of 90 days. So I generally work on that when I'm doing very specific things. So that's a fairly short planning horizon now. Look at those dates and go, where are all my people? Where are all my associates? What are we planning to do on those dates together for our business? And what might we want to change while we've got a horizon to do some changes?
I'm having a small panic moment. For 15 years, as a rule, I've been running my vision board workshop on the 31st of December because we say goodbye to the year that was and hello to the year that's coming in. Oh, I'm going to have to go and do
no, because that's a really good point. The thing is, what you do is you look at that plan and say, knowing what I know now, is it important that people in my vision class are there on the 31st of December, is it likely from the 1st of January, people will have needed to have done that on the 31st of December?
Right.
And I would say to you, Helena, don't cancel it because you'll have to argue with me, because
Right.
you are preparing those people for a future we can only envisage.
True.
And even though we make our way through those deadlines, is it really important that they double down on the 31st of December more than ever?
Here, Han, asking what's the significance of the 31st of December, a key date when some of us may holiday, only significant for work. So is it you know, if she's going away on holiday or celebrating New Year's Eve somewhere, is that still something that they should consider, or is this literally just about working?
Well, it's difficult to answer that. Why the 31st of December is because that is the date on which the old European Commission cycle ends. And the new leadership in the Commission takes place in January. So the current Commission team have effectively finished their current roles at the end of February, and the Commission cycle has rolled all the way round. Now, they essentially take up those leadership positions in November, but we close down all the final pieces of Europe by the end of December, because in January, that's where we're executing on the new plan. Okay. So that means that, you know, if you're going to be doing business in Belgium on the 31st of December, may not be a good idea. If you're at a party in Lanzarote, if you can't get back for whatever reason for another week, that might be fine. I'm not saying that you need to cancel things. The whole point of planning is risk mitigation. Doing this, should I? Or if I am going to do, am I going to ask one of my partners to be on standby or backup in case I need to? That's all it is.
Answers your question, Beth.
But I think that also sets up for everybody, actually, what is the thinking I need to do that is wider than the thinking I might normally do for all the things that are happening.
So we're going back to what Helena was saying about what are the things that we're aware of these dates, we're aware of all those types of, what are the things that they can actually control themselves? What can they be doing?
Right, and that's the important thing. That's really what this planning is about. If you're in Scotland, the Scottish entrepreneurs can get government support with their plans. They can get between 2,000 and 4,000, providing they're VAT registered, and there's a few other things. I say conditions apply, but essentially they can get that help from the Scottish government. Just go on their website and get that. And what is that for? That is some planning based on some of the things I'm going to tell you now, that you think, oh, based on that, what I could do. So I've got entrepreneurs in Scotland, for example, that have made plans to fly out to Indonesia with that money, because they have trade relationships out there already, which they can strengthen as a result of Brexit. European rules don't allow some of the things to go on that they could do. I have people in Japan who are in the here that work with people in Japan in homeopathic businesses who actually will be able to import some additional herbs to get some additional treatments done. I have speakers who currently don't have a means of really doing what they're doing outside of Europe, because we're pretty bound by the business they're in, the sector they're in, whereas they now know that places like Qatar are after speakers like them.
So they can use the money to go and travel and prospect and make more relations.
Correct.
Nice.
Correct.
Amazing. God.
So that's a Scotland thing.
How do we do that, Kel? Like, just now.
I know we've got quite a lot of community from Scotland.
We'll have to try and remember who all our Scottish people are and tag them all.
Well, exactly. I mean, you can create that buzz in the network, can't you? Customers are obviously my next key one. I just said the Scotland one, so people can be thinking about that if they've got a hub in Scotland, or they're working, or they're headquartered in Scotland. So customers.
Jacqui, even if you're not based in Scotland, that is a time to look at your budget and just go, actually, if I did get an extra £2,000, or I reallocated £2,000 or £4,000 in my budget for the potential opportunities that I could create, what would I actually do? So, just even imagining that windfall may be a very useful thinking process for everybody in terms of planning.
Or in the Connect and Create Day, you set them a task of between £2,000 and £4,000, what might that unlock for you?
Beautiful.
And then they can be thinking about that, because that's a really valuable thing. For most entrepreneurs, an extra couple of £100 makes their general life more comfortable. £2,000 usually unlocks a new opportunity.
Nice.
And that is for 95% of entrepreneurs across the world, the equivalent in their domain. So if you could focus your Connect to Create days on that, then you're actually delivering some huge value, I think.
Sneaky insight, everybody coming on the 9th.
I think those two places get filled now. So customers are obviously our key, because that's why we do what we do. We're serving our ideal client. So that's your next focus, really. Existing customers, what your plans to do to gain new ones, any marketing activities, what risk are they at based on everything we've said. So have a look at those categories and say, what might I, now I know what I know, what might I add to, change, or adjust in some way? What I would say to you is, when our entrepreneurs have gone through this list, this has sort of been a win for them. They've contacted their customers and said, we've been through Brexit preparations now, we want to confirm that we're ready for all the changes, we want to support what you do, and effectively have got an amazing response from customers who see that you're taking responsibility on behalf of them to serve them, and has gained a new confidence in you as a business. And often that's been followed through with revenue, because they've said, well, I haven't thought about that, I was wondering about this. So from a coach's point of view, I'm prepared for this because I know you might have some impact. Speaker, I'm doing this, and actually I've got this added value to my thing. And and authors, how might you look at perhaps the publication or distribution of what you're doing and communicate that actually as a very positive thing? I've been through this process, I've looked at it all, I've been thinking about you, because you have. And also when you're onboarding new clients, actually being able to give them that confidence of, this is what we as a business have done, we've taken care of that. As entrepreneurs, we've not relied on the statutory duties piece that the UK is made to do, has to do, that's its job under European law. We've thought beyond it for you and our business. So I think one is a key one, and we've had some really big wins on that for some of our entrepreneurs clients have loved the fact they've taken that care.
It's the care, but I think in this time where we aren't getting any direction, feels like does anyone know what's going on? This is your stake in the ground to go, look, I know where I stand, I know where it affects my business, I know that I'm bulletproof, I know that I can spot opportunities that I can still serve, maybe even greater. And then when someone hears that conviction and confidence, then they're like, I want to follow you.
That's it.
Because at the moment, I don't want to follow anybody. So it's
that whole being ahead of the curve, communication wise, preparation wise. Morning, Amy.
I'm definitely saying these are really top tips. So she's saying thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I think the thing I should say to you is, I've done this twice before. So I've built a network, the first time of 7 million people that were ready, the second time 34 million people that are ready, and this time whatever the number is that I can't track because it keeps changing, over a third of the world's population that are ready. Do you see what I mean? So actually this is, this isn't rocket science. I have rocket scientists that work for me, so I can actually say that. But it isn't rocket science, but it actually is based on that original plan from 2009 saying, we know that our digital companies failed for 2 reasons based on the digital savvy. They fail for 5 under the empathy economy. Now that's a big long conversation, and that's the
that's not one of the 5.
She just dangled a carrot, or like put some intrigue in there.
That's why you need to basically join your page, the end, and you'll tell us all about it, right?
Absolutely. Now suppliers, the other side of that customer relationship, in order to fulfill that commitment to your customers and your clients, then it's important that anybody that you have, particularly suppliers in Europe, they're not being prepared. The statutory duties piece is a real mess. And quite frankly, we've got our Brexit piece from our government on gov.uk, but that's not there across the member states. So getting in contact there we will change, the conditions of trade will change if you've got suppliers that are part of what you need to run your business. And so actually checking back on that, contact them, ask them where they're at, find out nationally what their jurisdiction says, you know, whichever member state they're in, what advice they've been given, put that together with what you've got from the UK, and then make a plan with you.
And just thinking, going back to the speakers, authors and coaches, it's something that I was in a conversation with in another group, is that I hadn't considered things like mobile phone contracts. Right. The EU thing, right? I was like, you know,
the roaming
service providers. That's a service provider that I'm sure everyone on this call is.
Well, I mean, I was literally in Denmark over the weekend, and it's like actually home, you know, sort of. So what does that mean for me when I'm delivering?
So the point is get in contact with whoever is a service provider in your business. Just to see, are there any changes? Are you aware of, you know, what? And actually, the service providers that I contacted from a mobile phone couldn't give me any details.
And it's that thing that you're saying, it's make a plan, but actually what I'm really hearing is make a plan together. So
correct, because I believe in the empathy economy. By building us from digital savvy to cyber smart, the empathy economy is about a collaboration fabric. It's not a competitive fabric. And so this is really why I say this is the start point, because we'll do this outreach, we'll make these arrangements together. We're actually starting to connect together as our businesses with the wider environment we share in. And this is really how it's going to be for the future. So what you do on the basis of these tips is how we will have to continue to work.
Really, really good. So,
I just want to pick up on what you said there, Kelly. I just want to pick up on what you said there, Kelly. Operational costs is what you're talking about there. So when we didn't exit on the 29th of March this year, when we didn't take the original Brexit date, the average costs in our businesses and across the board was between 10 and 25% additional operational costs. So obviously I can't advise you as to what that is for your business. I know it for our business, and obviously you can do sort of a risk assessment that says, well, it shouldn't be more than 25, but things like the things you mentioned, look at your operational costs, look at the things that your business pays for on and requires, and say how many of those are likely to be affected, because the reality of it is the carriers can't tell you because the decision's not been made. So make the assumption that, for example, on the 26th of December 2016, I changed and pivoted flying binary. By October 2018, we no longer are reliant on Europe. 100% of our business is online, and Europe is the smallest part now.
Wow.
So that is what, and it takes some time to do that. And that's without all the countries that are queuing up for our services, all the Brexit opportunity. So look at what that means, have a look at it and say, well, the best guide I can give you is the March figures, because we've got those in government, between 10 and 25%. Which of those could you look at? What might you do about it? Because you don't have to necessarily pay that. So you might say, well, what could I do about that? Maybe on the carrier costs you're talking about, Kelly. And if you can't, fine, go on.
You're just receiving some serious love.
Kieran saying you should be on mainstream media sharing all of this. He's finding it very helpful. Makes more sense than those in power. It is mainstream media, Kieran. It's going in the connection hub, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, Kieran, just so that you know, I asked the BBC if I could go in and tell them, and they said nobody cares about Brexit, and they wouldn't do the interview. So it's all right. I've got a cunning plan on that one. But thank you for that.
I am sure that you have. Also, Beth says that, sort of like, because her whole thing is collaboration. So she's like, yay!
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you've definitely got the right future headed there then, Beth.
Jackie, before you continue, so just so that everyone realizes, if you haven't actually downloaded the list that Jackie's talking about, that's what she's working through methodically and in this amount of detail. So just in case you're actually going, so where's this coming from? So you put the link, download the because then you can read it and you can start making your own notes. Cool.
Yeah, right. And that is what it's meant to be. It's your starter for 10. That's really why I've done it. So we've got a couple of more top tips that I want to talk about, and then there's a couple of things that are really where the rubber meets the road. So currency hedging, don't switch off. Okay, don't switch off.
I didn't know what that meant when we downloaded your guide.
We had a look at it and we were like, we'll wait for Jackie.
So So I work obviously across the world. Our team works across the world, and we work in 16 currency pairs. So sterling, GBP, plus whatever, dollar, euro, rubles, whatever. And that's how we work. So we have a treasury team, that's what it's called, that handles all of that. And it's complicated. And Natasha is amazing. So I don't do any of that. So this is, Natasha says, I'm going to read what she says. What foreign currency or hedging arrangements have you made for each of the Brexit deadlines? So what she's organised is our currency arrangements we need for those deadlines. So it might be customer payments you've got to make. It might be supply arrangements you've got to make, or payments you've got to make. And it might be travel arrangements. So those poor people that travel with Thomas Cook that you mentioned, Kelly, obviously that's, that's that sort of thing. So what have we done in our business? In Flying Binary, we have reduced our reliance on the euro, because the one thing that sits behind those deadlines that's not really obvious is that the European Central Bank has agreed in November to start quantitative easing again. So they are actually going to be printing money again. So the idea that we've got any arrangements that depend on euro transactions, we've reduced those until the clarity comes, because we don't know what's going to happen. We equally have arrangements in place, and each of those deadlines for all of our commitments, where we've forward ordered and forward provisioned the other currencies, the other 15 currencies that we use. So it might be you're only traveling on a Eurostar, but if you were on the Eurostar that came into St Pancras last night, when you got off that train, you were border checked. You had to show your passport, because all those arrangements are in place now. So make sure that what you have around those deadlines I gave you at the beginning, you're planning it around that. Now, we've planned it to the end of April, as I said, because there's a bunch of other things beyond the 31st of December, but I don't want to overwhelm people. I just want to get them on the road, really. And then
one thing, Bethan's asked, can she share your download link in other groups?
I would really ask you to do that. And can I tell you why? And I'd like it to stay in the hub as to why. The people that are most ready for Brexit are the terrorists, the hostiles, the bad actors, those nation states who've been interfering in our democracy and everything else. They're ready. And one of the things that's my vision is, if I can help digitally savvy entrepreneurs be cyber smart, we're ready too. Because we're connected in ways they can't understand, they can't access, they can't anyway interfere with. So we can hear that nonsense going on in that white noise online, and we can share it because one-to-one we have a personal connection. So I would love you to do that. I would love you to share that, because quite frankly this advice isn't available anywhere else, because it's my own advice. It's not Her Majesty's government advice or any of them. It's literally learning from December 2016 to now. So yes, I'd love to do that. So one final thing, which is, I shared it slightly before when I talked about customers, but we have shared this with our customers and our suppliers. Because when we were asking the questions about, can we're getting Brexit ready, we're doing these things, as I talked about earlier, they said, what is this about? What is it you're doing? And I think, Kelly, that I took an opportunity out of the hub that said, Victoria Derbyshire wants somebody on a Brexit debate. And I had to face the CEO of Jaguar Land Rover, who stood there and said, I don't know what to do about it. I'm the CEO of Jaguar Land Rover, and I'm thinking, I'm the CEO of Flying Binary, and it's my job to know. So if somebody doesn't tell me, then we have to get our work boots on and find out. So I was quite outraged at that. But the reality of it is, that's what I said to our customers and suppliers, who said, what is all of this? And can we have some? So we've socialized this with not just our connections, but our customers and suppliers, for the simple reason that they've gone, that is such a good idea. Let's get some clear-cut thinking on this. But you see, I want to point you back to 2009, when we were the rabble in Shoreditch creating a massive noise, and the UK government were going, what is that lot about? We were like, just get out of our way. We know what we're doing. And that is exactly what we said, until the Mayor of London invited us to breakfast and said, I want to know what you're doing because I want to help. That Mayor of London is now our Prime Minister. So he understands this mechanism. I am repurposing it, because what we can do is it's not, what we all do is about what we do for us, for our families, the things and people we care about. But we're part of neighbourhoods, aren't we? They just happen to be online. And so the hub is a neighbourhood, but we're connected to other neighbourhoods. And actually, that's the thing that the terrorists and the hostiles and the hackers can't get to. So really, it's about, getting that pipeline. For obviously, we're doing it for our business because we have no influence. I can't tell Helena or Kelly what about their businesses. But if we're all using a common approach to asking these important planning questions and then taking the best action for our business and our clients and our suppliers, whatever that is, then actually that gets everybody else in our ecosystem, as I call it, the wider people we work with, also ready without anybody knowing at all, which as a counter-terrorism expert is exactly how we do our job. Because if we succeed, if we succeed in doing our job, you'll never hear about it.
That's it.
That's how we know we're successful. Sorry, Helena.
No. I just love listening to this, because it's the beautiful ripple. It's that whole, who I know, who you know, who the next person knows. Like, we're gradually educating everybody, but into a different way of being and interacting with each other. So it's a massive opportunity, isn't it?
And we've built tech for the nation states. I talked about the 19 nation states, where the trust model in government is the same. So our technology, what we're talking about is a new trust model. That know, like, trust thing that we all use. This is actually about the fabric of our society working on that new trust model. So if we can get our pipeline organized, I mean, we did that just because people went, "Why on earth?" They're always like, "What are you up to, Jacqui?" And I'm like, "Well, I can tell you about this." So what we found is, and that's where, in socializing it with our entrepreneurs that we're connected with and that we mentor, they actually, had customers asking the questions, and then that's where new business came in and the ball started rolling. But we did that, and we've had huge success with that. Top 10 in the world, one of only 2 women. I count that a huge success, and I'm very proud of the fact that it's had that impact. So there's two final things on my list, which we've covered really, is paying it forward, and I've actually put the link in there for you to share. Because
saying, love small business voices bringing reason and sense to the economies across the globe. So
that is fabulous. High five.
And she's away from America.
She is.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's amazing. So I think, I'm encouraging people to pay it forward. The way we work with this work we're doing with our Commonwealth family about, we're actually beating global corruption across the world. That's the plan we have for our Commonwealth family, and what we're working on with them. And essentially what they have committed to do is pay that forward. So they are working on the basis that, not with this stuff that I'm giving you now, but the deep dive stuff that goes on within governments, but they've made a commitment to pay that forward for their citizens. And really all I'm saying here is pay it forward, not just for our businesses. It's great if we're all good, but actually that leaves somebody else vulnerable. And I just want to give you one example of that. So I did an outreach on, so you'll have seen some of the emergence of the hackers getting ready for Brexit, because I've shared 2 of them at least. The first ever jailbreak on iPhone, which actually was an internal Apple problem, but irrespective, it still has its impact. And then I shared the Joker malware for Android. I've got a few more coming along the way that we're currently investigating. But essentially what's happening with that is, in sharing those things, we're starting to get more aware of where our connections are. And in terms of our sort of work across the world, one of the things that we teach is something called sit aware, which is a military term. I co-founded the data journalism industry, which is where our 34 million citizens come from that help us every day. And we were able to point the flaws in the military strategy in Afghanistan and I teach 5-star generals and the commanders of joint forces how not to do what they do. I'd like to stop them doing war as well, in case anybody asks on the stream. If I can figure it, I will. But in the meantime, don't bomb us. And so no, whatever. But the reality of it is with some of this, we have to understand that ripple effect is within our grasp. And one of the things that people say to me all the time about Brexit is, but what can I do? It's just such a mess. No, as entrepreneurs, we're never, ever in that position, because we can always go from the tactical thinking that this world works on to strategic thinking. And where does this actually come from? I have to live in this unknown world every day. So some of the things that I need to tell you about, not the Joe Kamalware, some of the things, I can't do that on Facebook. I've had to build something off Facebook, off any social machine to tell you, because of course, you know, we've got 40% of the stuff that's going on Facebook isn't actually human driven. So I think that the more we're aware of the wider system we're connected to and the people, it's the human thing. And so that's where the empathy economy is.
And just a question on that, Jackie, just this isn't what we spoke about before, but it's just come up. Thinking about the systems that our audience use. So they are the CRM systems, they are the communication technology like Zoom, they are the payment systems, they are the marketing platforms like Facebook. Are you encouraging people to still operate in what they're used to doing, still operate on Facebook
in the way that they have,
in the way that they do, but how can they tighten up their awareness of what's going on? Or should they be taking out things like insurance against cyber attacks and things? What can they be doing to make those systems resilient? Or are you saying actually maybe move away from some things? And
no, for now we are where we are. Digital savvy is digital savvy. I need to be really, really clear on that. I'm not saying change anything. I am saying change the focus on what we're doing, which is what this whole talk's been about. It's been about, we need a different focus to operate on what we're operating, more of a strategic focus, less of a tactical business as usual focus. So to be really clear, that's the first thing. The second thing,
hang on a minute.
Not chase shiny objects, and strategy, not tactics, right? That's what we say on here.
That is exactly it. But there are some things for Cyber Smart that none of you have access to, just because we do. And in order to share those things, I make a decision with our team every day how that happens. Now, for some things, it will continue to be, and I will do everything I can without jeopardizing the whole end game to share that on those platforms. But the reality of it is, some of it will come as a surprise because that's not the place it can be shared. So I had to make a big decision about what I did on the back of it, because it's all very well being able to socialize this and being able to put, as things arrive in my inbox, something online. But of course, I know the hostiles are reading that too. And they will make use of everything they can. Equally, they know who we are. So, you know, I had to make that decision to stand way above the parapet and say, I'm standing up front. So I'm not saying change anything. And I'm equally saying that what I can share for free on platforms like Facebook and the other social machines, I will do. But the reality of the change and the chaos that is on its way is like the Joe Kamalware thing. It is bigger than all of us individually as businesses. But collectively it's not. And because we've developed that response for the UK's global corruption initiative, actually we can use that tech in a different way. We can configure it slightly different way. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm opening a membership offering on the 28th of October. I have to be able to have the entrepreneurs that are going to come and join me as that initial group with me before we Brexit, because there's some preparations they've got to do immediately that I cannot share open online. So that's why I've decided that's what I'm doing.
If I put a link to your page now, then people can follow you there and then take the conversation from there onwards with you. Is that the right thing?
So that's on Facebook, because obviously I'm reaching out on an open conversation, and I will share those things. Thanks for that, Kelly. And then we will take that journey as it arrives. So even though things appear to most people to just have happened, we usually will have a week or 2 weeks notice, because we'll have seen what I call the emergence of patterns. Nothing on an attack basis happens in a point in time. There's always a build-up. We didn't know that until we were seeing changes across the world that were very spiky, things happening. And we were like, what on earth is this? And then 6 months later, we named it. Well, we didn't name it. It was named as Arab Spring. And that was when we built the technology to see the heartbeat of the web change. And so we have that visibility. Now, obviously, hostiles don't know that. And even if they do, they can't do anything about it because we're privately owned. But the reality of it is, the things that look to you unexpected, they're not. But the changes in the platforms like Facebook, like Twitter, like LinkedIn, are already, their roadmaps are already to change our businesses. And we've seen that, you know, we've seen that increasingly this year. 2020 is a major flux on the algorithms because of the things I'm talking about. So really our membership is to say, well, those that are going to come with us, we'll learn together. As I say, we've got advance notice of that, so we're ready and prepared with that. And also what we're going to be doing is saying digital savvy isn't a direct result to cyber smart, because there's a bunch of things that exist in this world that you didn't know about. Effectively, like Pandora, I'll lift the lid, and then we can get these sorts of things working specifically for your business, because this is very generic advice. I mean, it's been collected over a couple of years now, but I think everybody can use this. But what I'm committing to doing, I'm just saying, what I'm committed to doing is the only people I will mentor to take that safe path are those entrepreneurs, because I have to start somewhere.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was going to say. Sorry for trying to interrupt you. Just
no, it's fine.
I'm so relieved almost, and I think that's possibly what other people listening are going to feel as well. So relieved that somebody somewhere is actually going, here are some tangible things that are actually happening. Here are some facts. Here are some actual things that you can start thinking about and doing something about. So you know, head above the parapet, feet above the parapet, by the looks of things, you know, is a fantastic thing for those of us that want to be ready. But also, you know, what Kelly and I are really all about is change makers, being the lighthouses, being the leaders, being the people who are actually helping other people, guiding, being that guiding light. And you know, you are definitely one of those, but you're also making it possible for other change makers to be one of those within their communities. And that, you know, that just, it heartens me tremendously.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, I hope this is a hopeful conversation, and we've got rid of the white noise, but it's meant to be inspirational, because the thing I'll tell you now, and I know you both sat down so I can say it, is people that have taken this path, the entrepreneurs that have trodden this path, that has helped me build that membership site, have seen a 2 times growth in income. So they've doubled their income. And then the ones that sort of went, I'm going for it. You know, and we know that usually about 15% of us are in those I'm going for it. I've seen up to a 60 times growth in income, because this is a change that's already happened. And what they're doing is, what they've done effectively is what we've done, which is actually ride that wave. You know, it really is a new wave.
It's their mindset. They've got a mindset of possibility and a collaboration, and those two things together are just basically the magic formula.
It's strength right there. So
can I just say that's true, but you have to be cyber smart, because the hostiles are on it too. So that's the top up piece of it. That's what I've learned. It's
the classic Venn diagram.
It is, it is.
Of all 3 of those. So we're aware that this is possibly just tipping the scale at nearly the longest Facebook Live that we've ever done. And no sorries required at all.
Still got a lot of people still listening to you.
It's gold and it's juice, and I'm sure that people watching on the replay will be really grateful as well. So for those of you who are watching on the replay, you know, I know I'm at the end of this, but you know you can always tag someone that's been interviewed or that's been on here, because I am sure that more questions will arise as a result
Yes.
of the document that you prepared.
But Jackie's busy. We know she's busy, so
she
tag
is.
her in
No, but my commitments to you all, I've actually turned down 7-figure work to do this, because
Amazing.
I actually understand the importance of what we're all doing. So as of now, I mentor no people other than the people that are in my orbit, and I don't care who you are or how big your check is, because actually this is what we call a nexus point. On the 30th anniversary of the web, the 12th of March 2019, I assembled 6,000 of the 27,000 CXOs I mentored, and I gave them that speech. And effectively, they move or die. And you know, we've seen the evidence of that. Thomas Cook didn't move, and it's at its end. And when we started this journey in 2009, there were 250 of us and 6,500 800-pound gorillas who thought we were a national joke. Today, there are 5.4 million of us and just over 4,000 of them.
Amazing, just amazing. I mean,
can I just say one thing though, caution? I want to speak to the entrepreneurs that have taken this checklist and watch this live and say, if you haven't changed anything as a result of my advice, I'm most worried about you. That's actually where I am, because inertia is not something that will be allowed. Like I say, no plan is not an option. And so there are, apart from just putting your business in a great position for the chaos and change that is going to unfold, there is a huge opportunity that sits behind it. 60 times income is a serious change to anybody's lifestyle. Even if you've only got a couple of £100 a month coming in, it's a serious change. And so I want to make sure that what I do is encourage people to do that, think big. Because and if the thing that I perhaps will send, it's autumn now, it's the first day of autumn yesterday, I'll send a link in the comments afterwards. I prepared this for my entrepreneurs for yesterday to send out yesterday, but it's you'll know it if you're in this space. I'm sure coaches will all know it, I'm sure writers will as well. It's Marianne Williamson's Our Light. And I've done that with a lovely autumnal thing for us all to put on our walls. And I'd like to send you that, because actually it is about us shining our light to enable it. And that change maker ethos that you have in the hub is really important to me. This is the first time ever I've given this information out. And I chose to do it here because I know you've got the people that actually go, I'm over it, through it, round it, I'll find a way, because what I do matters. They're already changing the world, you know. So I really want to talk to you. If you've not changed anything, you've gone through this checklist and gone, well, I'm all good. It's like, well, okay, you may just have managed to, by some magic of the universe, pick the right ideal spot, but you're not positioned to take a 60 times income boost that you would be. So there's something else in here going on. And so I'd ask you, if you're that entrepreneur, look again and see what else you might do.
Wider, look in the expanse, right?
And then ask Kelly and Helena any really difficult questions.
And on that note, we should finish.
We need to run interview in a bit.
Jacqui, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
we just love being part of your big vision.
Heartfelt love. And we will speak to you really soon.
Yeah, absolutely. A delight to be online. And I will reinforce what Kelly and Helena said. I will go over the comments later. I like to individually reply to any comments. So if you've got any questions that are still sat in your head, pop them on the stream, and then I'll go in later and I'll answer those comments. But delight to be hosted by you in your lovely kitchen. I've wanted to be here forever. And thank you very much for your time too. Bye, everybody.
Take care, babe.
Bye. Bye.